What up? I'm Bee and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things true crime and current events. Today's episode of Crafty Crimes is not really an episode of Crafty Crimes. This weekend is actually my husband's birthday, and because researching, getting the timeline laid out, doing all of that, and filming takes up pretty much the majority of my weekend as I work a full-time job, I wanted to make sure I got to spend as much time with him as possible on his special day. But I also didn't want to leave you hanging. We're still going to sit together, we're still going to crochet, and we're going to talk about something related to the true crime world, but it's just not going to be a story like it usually is. So the topic that we're actually going to be talking about today is my favorite true crime creators. And this is going to be a mix of YouTubers and podcasters. So if you enjoy my Crafty Crimes videos and you're interested in true crime, you like learning about it, all of that stuff, I have tons of different types of creators on here, and obviously I think they're all awesome. If you haven't heard of these people or you haven't had a chance to check out their work, maybe this will convince you to give them a shot. Not that they need any help from me, but I did just want to share my favorites. Let's go ahead and get into it. The first creator I want to talk about is a YouTuber. Her name is Danelle Hallan, and she does strictly true crime videos. She is incredibly compassionate and caring, and you can tell that her heart is just so big and it's in the right place. Like, she wants justice for people. So a lot of the types of videos that she does are missing persons cases or unsolved cases, and she will, give the whole story, give the backstory of the person, tell what happened, all the details of the case. And then she gives the information to tip lines, the local police department, all that kind of stuff. So that way, if anyone has heard anything, they can report it. And she's so big on it. She's like, I know it sounds cliche, but someone knows something. If you're one of those people who knows something, please, contact the police, contact the tip line. It could help. And so I love watching her because she doesn't do any shock value. It's not crass. It's all very serious and sincere. And yes, at the end of the day, true crime is for entertainment. So I'm not saying that shock value is bad or anything like that. There's all kinds of true crime content out there, and each type of content has its place. In my experience, she's the best at just sitting down, telling the story, giving you all the information that you need. And in my opinion, the way that it seems is that it really it comes from the heart. So she's an incredible storyteller. The amount of, unsolved cases that she talks about is incredible. She always gets traction on them. It's super helpful to the families to have someone with such a big following talk about the case, because then it gets people interested. It gets more eyes on it. It's really great. And one of my favorite videos from her is a video about a 3-year-old who went missing. His name was Jaryd Atadero, and it's just a crazy story, but she did such a great job telling it, looking into theories, giving as much information as possible, like she does with every case. But that story just really touched me in particular. All the links to the videos or episodes that I'm going to be recommending will be in the description box. Now, the next YouTuber that I want to talk about is somebody who is completely different from Danelle Hallan, but incredible in her own way, and that is Sarian. She is not a full-time true crime YouTuber. She does 2 videos per week. One is typically a makeup video. She is incredible and talented and does the most beautiful makeup looks. So she'll try stuff out, try new things, give product reviews, stuff like that. And then on Mondays, she posts Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Monday videos where she talks about a true crime case and she does her makeup at the same time. And I've mentioned this before, pretty quickly after I started making my Crafty Crimes videos, her videos started getting recommended to me all the time. And so I haven't been watching her for that long, but I have watched all of her Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Mondays, and she is a great storyteller, but she tells it so much differently. She takes it seriously, but she also there's some sass in there. She makes a few jokes here and there, and she's talking about crimes, obviously, but it just feels a little bit more lighthearted. It's a little bit more for entertainment purposes. She doesn't do like missing persons cases. The ones that she talks about in general are closed cases, or they are very famous criminals that she's discussing. So it's kind of like the mythical element of it makes it okay to be a little bit less attached to it and take it a little bit less seriously. But at the end of the day, she does take them seriously. It's just a little bit more on the fun side. Is that the right way to say it? Probably not, but she is incredible. Her makeup skills are amazing, and she tells the stories in her own way. And if you were going to watch any video of Bailey Sarian's, I would recommend Like Mother, Like Son, Sante, and Kenny Kimes. This story is a wild one. It has so many like twists and turns. Everything that happens in it is completely unexpected, and it made for a super interesting video to watch. Now we're going to move on to true crime podcasts. Yes, there are tons of amazing, incredible true crime YouTubers, but when I'm on YouTube, I don't tend to watch that many true crime YouTubers. I watch a lot of different things. I think it's because I spend so much time researching true crime stuff that when I'm just like watching somebody relaxing, there are a few, obviously, like Danielle and Bailey that I like to watch, but I typically spend my time on YouTube looking into other things. However, with podcasts, 99.9% of my day at work is me listening to true crime podcasts in the background. I don't know why. I feel like podcasts and videos, even if they're about the same thing, are just a different form of entertainment, and I much prefer listening to true crime podcasts, even though I like talking about true crime in video form on here. It's confusing, don't ask me why. But some of my favorite true crime podcasts are as follows. First one is the Mile Higher podcast. I mean, did you think that we were going to be able to talk about other true crime content creators without talking about Kendall Rae? Because I feel like within the circles that I watch and the people that I follow, it's like Kendall Rae she's the first one I think of when I think about true crime YouTubers. And now she and her husband Josh have a true crime podcast. And so I didn't feel like I needed to recommend her as a favorite true crime YouTuber, especially because I like the podcasts better. It's like conspiracies, aliens, extraterrestrial stuff, supernatural stuff. You know, they go over pretty much everything related to true crime and the supernatural world. And it feels comfortable. I like the fact that it's husband and wife, because you know they know each other, you know they're comfortable with each other, and they're just sitting down like reading an article together, having a conversation about something going on, and I find that to be really enjoyable. Obviously her videos are incredible and they're very well done, but I just prefer the podcast to those videos, and I think it's because I like knowing that it's a husband and wife sitting down and working together. I don't know, it's sweet to me, and it makes it super enjoyable to listen to the podcast. So one episode of theirs that I would absolutely recommend is the infamous case of child killer Diane Downs. That story is wild to me, and I think they did a really great job covering it, talking about it, and it's one of their best episodes so far. And the next podcast I want to talk about is called Voices for Justice. This is a podcast hosted by Sarah Turney, and she is the sister of someone named Alyssa Turney. Now, Alyssa went missing from Phoenix, Arizona in May of 2001, and initially it was handled really well by Phoenix PD, by Maricopa County. They kind of came to the conclusion that they thought Alyssa's stepdad and Sarah's biological dad, Mike, had done something to Alyssa. And Sarah didn't really believe it at first. It kind of shocked her, but eventually they investigated the home and found some pipe bombs in their house and took him to jail. And then the police told Sarah that once that sentence was up, they would be prosecuting him for whatever happened to Alyssa, but he got out and nothing has happened since. The police department has conveniently cleared out some of the logs. They don't really have any intention of looking further into the case. They don't, they're just not doing anything about it. And they said they would, and they took off the 2 detectives who really cared about the case and kept in contact with Sarah. They took them off, and the new detectives aren't doing anything. No one in Phoenix is taking it seriously. And so Sarah has created this podcast. She shares different conversations. Because of the information that the police gave to her and because of additional information that she's found, she does believe that her dad did something to Alyssa. He harmed her in some way, and now she's not home. She's not with them. And so she's just releasing these conversations. She's been talking to other members of the family, other friends of Alyssa, all this, and she's building the case through the podcast. So definitely check that out. I mean, I would start with episode 1, just to give you kind of a backstory on what's been going on. And I did want to say a little bit of a side note about this. Multiple people have asked me to do a video on Alyssa Turney's case, and I want to do it justice if I end up talking about it. There's a lot of information, and yeah, there's a lot of information about plenty of other cases that I've covered, and I do my best to make sure that I get everything, but I kind of feel a little bit more of a personal connection to this case, and I don't want to do it disservice by creating the video wrong, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to just make a quick video giving the overview of everything and then feel like I left too much detail out, but I also don't want to go into way too much detail and then have that make the video too long or make people think, okay, well, I saw this and so now I know and that's it. I want people to listen to the podcast. I want people to learn about it from Sarah. Because Sarah's telling the story, because her sister is telling the story, I want people to hear it from her, if that makes sense. So I think eventually I will end up doing some sort of Crafty Crimes episode about it. I just have to figure out the right way to do it. The next podcast I want to talk about is a podcast from Wondery. It's called Dr. Death. Wondery does a ton of limited series podcasts about different crimes, lesser known events and stuff like that. And they do a really incredible job. But my favorite so far is the first one that I listened to. It's about Dr. Christopher Dunch. He was responsible for the maiming of 33 patients and the death of 2 patients. Man, he's a wild one. That story is infuriating. But it was reported on so incredibly well. They did interviews with some of his former patients. They did interviews with people who knew him and got their side of the story and how they perceived Christopher themselves and all of that. And I think they told the story really well. So if you're interested in hearing multiple episodes about the same topic and really going in depth about something, definitely give that one a listen. And finally, my absolute all-time favorite true crime content creators, Last Podcast on the Left. It's not for everyone, but I love it. Last Podcast on the Left covers everything from true crime to conspiracy theories to supernatural, ghosts, aliens, hauntings, serial killers, all that, everything. They cover everything. And it's hosted by Marcus Parks, Ben Kissel, and Henry Zabrowski. And so they each kind of have their own role within it. Some of the episodes are casual, and those are called side stories where they talk about true crime news, but the main episodes are these incredibly well-researched behemoth episodes, and it involves Marcus basically telling the whole story. And then you have Henry, who is an actor, and he will do act outs of either the cult leader or the serial killer or different characters within. He'll do a voice and impersonate them. And then you have Ben, who's acting as the audience member. asking questions that we may have if we don't know the full story, if we didn't do the research with them, basically advocating for us as the listener. And their whole thing is basically they roast these criminals. They fully embrace the fact that the true crime genre is a form of entertainment. And they have respect for victims and survivors and the gravity of the situation as a whole, but they're also not afraid to be like, these serial killers are just a bunch of dummies, and like make fun of them, roast them. It is highly entertaining and very crass at times. So if that's not for you, do not listen. But if that is something you are into, there is a multiple part series on Rasputin. The first one is called Rasputin Part 1, Greg Drunk, and it's my favorite. I have listened to those episodes about Rasputin at least 4 times. At least 4 times. That's how good it is. Last Podcast on the Left has to be my favorite out of all of the true crime content I consume. So there you have it. On weeks like this, when I may not have a new story to present to you and talk about, you're never going to be short on other creators that you can get your true crime fix from. Let me know if you've heard of these people, if any of them are your favorite, and if you have a favorite who I didn't mention, leave them in the comments. I might just find a new favorite for myself. And while you're doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be awesome. And if you have subscribed already, thank you so much. I love being able to just sit here, hang out, and talk about whatever. And with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.